All right, now would you please introduce yourself?
My name is Spencer G. Shaw, Professor Emeritus, the Information School, University of Washington in Seattle. I was appointed a branch manager of a public library in Hartford, Connecticut, which is my home. And it was a custom in that library, like in many public libraries, I'll give you the date, which also dates me. This was in 1941, so I'm old. Anyway, it was a standard practice in public libraries in those days to have storytelling on Saturdays or whatever day it is for children, once a week. We set up for the first story time on Saturday at 11 o'clock. The library opened at 1. And since it was a neighborhood which had very few cultural activities, it was a depressed area. So the youngsters would be lining up outside the door before 11 o'clock. This was one of their outlets. And I brought them in and sat them down. We planned our first storytelling. As I used to tell my students, the first story went over all right. But on the second story, I bombed. And when I finished the story, one young man said, I was telling the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And he said, hey man, I said, yes. That ain't the way it was in the movies. You didn't name the dwarfs. So that was my first experience, but I learned many things. I learned you start where you find the students or your listeners, not where you expect them to be. You guide them to where you like them to respond. You also note that children, once you're able to establish rapport, will give you another chance. So over and over in time, they gave me the chance I needed. Storytelling is rich with heritage. It has never existed in a vacuum. Early storytellers assumed many roles. They were historians, they were genealogists, they were recorders, they were priests, they were mediators, they were teachers, they were entertainers. The stories, before they were categorized later by scholars, consisted of your myths, fables, epics, sagas, legends, hero tales, folk and fairy tales.